Welcome everyone. Adam the Woo here as the recording of this. It is Wednesday, August the 6th, 2025. Today I'm going to take a little scooter ride. Haven't rode around on this in a while, got it all charged up. And I am going to drive around the now closed and empty Tupperware headquarters facility here in Kissimmee, Florida on Orange Blossom Trail. Very recently, they have filed bankruptcy. They completely closed. Over the last few years, or maybe even the last decade, they have downsized dramatically. But the property here was still kept. They had a gift shop opened, even though it was a smaller portion of the immense amount of land they used to own. They still had part of it open. But now, none of it is part of Tupperware anymore. Tupperware has been erased from existence in Central Florida. I kind of have a soft spot for Tupperware because not only is it an amazing product, or was an amazing product, even though who knows, it could bounce back. But my mom was a Tupperware manager in the 80s and early 90s, and I remember me growing up in the 80s. She did very well as a manager. She had all the Tupperware parties. She still to this day has so many pieces of Tupperware at her home. And I since have collected some over the years, going to garage sales and thrift stores. I'll get Tupperware for my house as well. So I'm just going to peruse around the property, show what's left, little remnants of the Tupperware generation, the end of an era, because this is probably all going to go away very soon, and I wanted to kind of document it before it's gone. Join me. Goodbye to Tupperware. Wow, it's hard to believe, right? Join me. Let's cruise around, shall you? Whenever I see places like this, I always think back to memories and, associates and employees that were out here. They were obviously painting something along here. They'd open this bay door. You can still see the spray paint down there. Possibly even painting. Well, I don't know what they were painting. I was thinking maybe some sort of sealed food storage, but probably not. This building that I was just standing in front of, where I'm starting off the day at, was the photo studio, which I am taking to mean that this is where they would, all the catalogs and brochures and anything when you'd have a Tupperware party and you would have the Tupperware dealer would give you a little pamphlet or a sales pitch. All the photos for all the products that you would buy were taken right inside this very building, the photo studio. I'd wrap your head around that. I mean, if you're a part of the whole Tupperware generation, that's pretty wild to think about, that you might own a piece that you purchased at a party, and the picture was taken right inside here. Yeah, building number 2. I'm just kind of rolling over to building number 3. This property is probably going to be bought, demolished, and used by or for someone else. This is Warehouse B in building number 3. Just wild to think that Tupperware is gone. World headquarters. Been here a couple times in my life. One time maybe 10 or 15 years ago, my mom and I came out here, and a lot more stuff was open. And then I came out here a couple years ago when I was just showing the downsizing of it. Now I'm back here one final time. Photography warehouse. Now there's another property. The property used to stretch all the way over towards where the convention center is. The convention center sold many, many years ago. They used to have concerts there. I think even when Tupperware used to own it, they used to have, concerts and events and things in there. But that property has since been bought by someone else, and I think they were using it for a learning facility. And now it's closed, and they're changing it to something else. So all the stuff I'm showing here is just probably a third of the original property that the company owned. But it's still very expansive. But gosh, back in the 80s and 90s, when my mom would come to her Jubilees, the Jubilees where you take all the successful Tupperware managers from across the U.S. or maybe even the world, but I think it meant more of a U.S. thing. They would all be invited to the Jubilee, so she'd get to see all her friends and other managers from across the country, and we would tie in those trips for her coming to the Jubilees in the 80s into Disney trips. So in a roundabout way, kind of helped with me first going to Disney. Hey, having a love for Disney. This is the design center. No smoking. Wow, look at this. There you go, product development right there. This is where they developed the products, tested them out. They're also utilizing the parking lot. These are not employees, these are cars that are stored over here through Tesla. So Tesla evidently is renting part of it as a parking area for some of their cars, for their dealers. That's what all these are. There's nobody here but just empty cars. Really kind of sad. For assistants, use the phone. Yeah, they didn't want to give any of their secrets away. If you look inside, there are still some posters and things promoting the products. Kind of tough to see it. I'm looking through the window and have my hand cupped around it so the glare doesn't obscure it, but this was the meeting hall and the information technology area, another phone that you'd have to call. Meeting hall on the first floor, information technology on the second floor. And if you peek in, you can see all the like sticky tape where they'd have the promotional posters in there heading into this building. Oh, evidently they were selling awesome stuff. So they were having an auction out here recently too. It looks like everything's out of there now though. And there is a constant flow of cars coming in here where they're moving the employees, bringing the Teslas over. Bicycle parking only. This was the Simon Humus Wellness Center, building number 5. Got a wet floor. They were cones. It's also interesting that the power's still on in some of the buildings. They got AC running in there. Butterfly garden, you have all the different types of butterflies. Weather worn, obviously, and seen better days. And you got this beautiful fountain over here. No longer pumping water, but still here for now. Oh wow, that is some nasty water. That's what happens when a fountain is not pumping water in circulation for a long time. Turns into just nasty algae and grossness. Back in 2012. Oh my goodness. Anna Brongart, back in 2012, for her recognition of 20 years as a partner, had this bench dedicated to her. 13 years ago she had the bench dedicated, but she worked for the company 20 years before she got the marker of the bench on the bench. My mom used to have such a good time coming to the Jubilee. She still talks about them to this day. Trees are falling over here. Okay, so, I was incorrect about it only being US. It was international because here, they were over in Mexico. This is the symbol here for the brand in Mexico. It's just, man, it's just such a bummer that all this stuff's just sitting out there now. It's just kind of, that's just so weather worn, it's hard to read, but you can see faintly there. It's a little walking path. Let me get my scooter and I'll take it down this path. Extend a hand, Worldwide Achievers. There was another little plaque here. And then this is just, oh, it's an entire row, like a walk of fame of sorts, on both sides of the road, or both sides of the sidewalk, I should say, of those that were extending a hand. Super Blossom Party Sales. So the way Tupperware worked, kind of like Avon, Mary Kay back in that era, where you would have a Tupperware manager who would go around and they would try to get people to have parties at their house. So in my mom's case, she would go to people that people that wanted to have a party for my mom. She would show up as her position in Tupperware, and she would have the party and sell, and you could only buy the products from the party. You couldn't buy them in the store back then. I vividly remember her talking about that. The only way that you could get the products was through a party and ordering through the book at the party. So you had to go to one of your friend's living room, a lady that you knew was having a party, and you would order the Tupperware through that, and the person having the party got a little bit of a commission, and then my mom would get her commission, and that's how it worked. And she would have parties all the time. And then years later, they started selling in the stores, and I think that was kind of the start of the decline. I know nothing about business, so I can't really say that that's it, but that's just kind of when I felt like it wasn't the strongest point for the company. Unforgettable Homecoming back in 2018, the Chairman's Summit. So that must have been another like award ceremony, kind of like the Jubilee. I don't even know if Jubilees even happened past the 90s, but the garden is dedicated to the directors and legacy executive directors who attended director success seminars throughout the years. This was dedicated in 2005. This little garden here, and there's like a little sculpture over here. Helicopter going by. More very nasty water around this seal. I mean, this water is just filthy. I really like the little hedges here. Maybe there's a point to it. Almost looks like a horseshoe around another hedge, and it goes around the seal here. Now, does the seal coincide with Tupperware having one of the best seals on any kind of food storage container ever? It never hit me till just now, maybe. This is giving me kind of Heritage USA vibes, which is a place that you can just wander around, but there's nothing really going on. I mean, it's like some stuff going on, but not anything what it was originally created to be. Dedicated in 1997, the Warren L. Batts Pavilion. There you go, peeking in the window here, the pavilion. No longer being used at all. All these phones are very interesting, how you would have to open the phone and then you have to call. You dial 0 to get in. It looks like back in 2018, the Business Leader Recruiting Challenge. 70 years of the party. That must have been their 70th anniversary. There's some names on here. Just kind of going down the list slowly, because you never know if someone's watching sees their name or possibly someone in their family's name or friend's name. So everyone has their memories. It's known as the Tree of Hearts. It's almost like another little kind of like star walk of fame type of thing. But you can see they ended here. They never continued past 2018 with it. But you can see the stars down below. Or actually no, 2015. is when they stopped doing it. The Tree of Hearts, this is it. Right here. Probably at some point they had a ceremony where they planted the seedlings to make this grow. And it was a big deal for anyone that was at that. Here's all the business leaders. I mean, it was a massive organization, massive. And again, a huge integral part of my life. I mean, I have such a soft spot for the company just based on, you know, my family's history with it. And there was a time that many probably achieved or strived to achieve to one day be here in the Garden of Excellence. And obviously it got halfway done and then stopped, never continued around with the pylons. Part of the Maximum Growth Club back in 2013. The Superstars region, the Heart of the West region, the Winning Warriors region, the Mighty Million region, the Rockin' West, the Dynamite region, now just a place for cars to be stored. Okay, here's some of the Tree of Hearts went up to 2018. Thrilling 30 team recruits, the perfect 10 recruits, terrific 20 recruits. Had a name for everything. The Opportunity. So instead of opportunity, it's the Opportunity. It was dedicated at the 1986 Homecoming Jubilee, which I would say that my mother was at this because we moved to Niceville, Florida in 1984 and lived there till 1988. Then we moved to Eufaula, Oklahoma, 89, 90, 91, and then 91 moved to St. Cloud, Florida. But 84 to 88, I was attending Rocky Bayou Christian School in Niceville, Florida. So 84 to 88, Niceville, Florida. 89 to 91, Eufaula, Oklahoma, and then to St. Cloud, Florida, 91, you know, and on. But in 86, we would have been in Niceville, and that was when my mom was doing, you know, her best with the company. This was one of the ones she went to. I would wager this is one of the ones she went to. Sharing more than 15,000 new dealers were welcomed into the Tupperware family during the Opportunity Recruiting Challenge between Spring Sessions and Jubilee of 1986. Right here. This was planted in 86, according to that plaque. Now, a year or two ago when I came out here and I was showing an update on this place when it wasn't closed yet, I saw this tree and I'm glad they have not removed this yet. That's great. What'll happen to this? What'll happen to all this? In a dumpster somewhere? I hope not. Corner of Friendship Circle and the place right there. With the moss growing out of the top of it. Some sandhill cranes. Yeah, they downsized for many years. And they held on to their last employees and they just let them go. Pretty recently, closed this facility. Previous times I've been here, it was just a shell of what it originally was, but it was still open now. Nothing. Now originally, when the complex first became a thing, you would walk along the Golden Galaxy walkway, and you'd walk all the way down over to where the convention center area was. And that was one of the first stages of closures. But this used to stretch all the way. Hundreds of yards down that way the property went. And they tore a lot out already. And they are refurbing the convention area auditorium that's way down. So this Galaxy Way ends right here. And since the last time I was out here, a couple years ago, they have now built a new apartment complex. Look at that. That's like the pool area of a new apartment complex right there. I think they've even fixed up this little retention pond too, but now, this is weird. Out with the old, see you later old, in with the new. Hello new. The only constant is progress. I think I'm paraphrasing that term. The only consistent thing is progress. I'm completely butchering that phrase, but. So whatever was here, I think it was like a bell of some sort, if I recall. But it was dedicated to Brownie Wise to this day. They're grateful to Brownie for her vision, and every woman that became a confident business owner should transform the company and the status of an American woman in today. International Sales Force community honors her legacy by continuing to empower women around the world. Now, what was dedicated to her has been removed. It was right here. And they've at least have salvaged that. They've at least salvaged that. That's good. Hopefully that ends up somewhere, maybe in a company museum or something. I don't know even if that's even on their agenda. Also, all the flags have been taken down. They used to have all the flags right across there. This thing sprung up quick. This is an interesting little contraption. Oh, I don't even know what's down in this grass. It's called a rainbird. Probably should get out of this high grass before I get fire ants. Just zipping down Golden Galaxy Parkway, or walkway. Switch hands. Golden Galaxy Walkway. I'm scootering on it though, but there's no one out here, so I'm sure it's fine. To the entry plaza where they used to have a fountain that was shaped like, I think it was a dandelion? The flower that you would, you pick and you make a wish and you blow the little petals, the multiple petals off of. Many photographs were taken from the Jubilees and other events in front of the fountain over here, which is now gone. History. Really a little beautiful entry point. This was the small museum they had for a while in the sales place. Last time I was here, which things have changed quickly. Yeah, just a beautiful little courtyard. Yes, I always think about what it would have been like back in the day, and memories that were made here, friendships that originated and then blossomed years later from people that met each other here. Man, nothing lasts forever. When you're growing up, when you're young, when you're older, you start to realize that. But when you're young, you just think everything's how it's going to be all the time, and any place that you know about. Why would they ever go away or close? The older you get, you start to realize that that's just not the reality we live in. Even companies could be massive. I mean, this was such a force to be reckoned with. Well, at least from my perspective. And maybe I had a little bit of a jaded view because I was in that world in a way. Maybe it wasn't quite what I thought it was, but evidently, the whole property that was here and all the plaques that are back there and the stories, I think I'm pretty accurate in stating that that was just such a massive force to be reckoned with in the food cooking and packing and saving away, sealing something and putting it in the fridge world. And then also oven items. My mom still has all her oven stuff that she could put in the oven, put it in the microwave. That was a game changer. That stuff didn't really exist that I recall back in the 80s till I saw that. And the stuff that she still has lasted since then, and she uses it every day. Every day she's using that stuff. Still takes a licking and keeps on kicking. They made some good stuff. They made some dang good stuff. Plenty of other companies kind of threw their hat in the ring as well, and people always get some cheap stuff, you know, really kind of the generic off-brand versions. I think that's just garbage. That's going to last like a couple years. I think it's just the sales pitches I always heard. I don't know, maybe. True though. I can speak from experience. I have a family member that has products from 40 years ago that she's still using every day. Still got the US flag out. Sorry, Tupperware. Speaking of ants, don't want to step in that. That is a serious ant bed right there. They've been doing some mowing, and they've just left all the remnants of the grass there. Oh, here's a little garden. Lots of trees, beautiful, beautiful property. Oh, there we go, Tupperware France. 2019. Yeah, I was way off with just being a US company. Oh man, this is a bummer. The power of one. US and Canada. Naomi Hartung and Kevin Henry. Well, that's two. It's the power of two. But you think about Annie Marchand, she probably had a lot of pride and excitement, the fact that this was placed here 10 years ago. You see there used to be roses here. This was a rose garden. Yeah, no more roses, but still got the thorns. It was quite an honor to have your name in the rose garden at the headquarters. I mean, that's something to strive for. So you don't want to downplay. You look at it now and you think, just an empty little path. But at a time, that wasn't the case. Very eerie out here. This is the opposite side of the Warren Bats Pavilion. There you go. Again, it's hard to get it without a glare, so I got my hand cupped around the thing, but end of an era. Little loading dock right here. It's like something out of Walking Dead. It is so eerily quiet out here. It's like the little employee break station there. Maybe that's where the coffee maker was. All right, this is wild. There's a photo of the fountain. In fact, there's quite a few photos of different phases of the complex. Look over here. Phase 1, Phase 2. Phase 1, 2013. That's, I guess, when they started downsizing. Wow. Again, just a huge facility. Went way farther than those new apartments. I mean, that was the halfway point. So figure all of this, and then those apartments are now the halfway point. And then it continued on. That's how big it originally was. Right past the turnoff to the IT building. New apartment. I just saw some deer as I was driving up there. He went into the woods. Not to keep harping on it, but just imagine back in the day, this was an employee parking spot. And they probably had their, maybe not their specifically allotted ones, but you know when you work somewhere for a long time and you get used to parking in the same couple of spots, it was probably an employee that parked in this spot or maybe these two spots or at least on the same row every day for years, if not decades. Never thinking that one day it wouldn't be. I don't know, overthink things too much, but yeah. Oh, it still works. Listen. Listen. It still works. Someone came out, I would lose my mind. I'd probably soil myself. I heard something over here and it startled me. Thought it was either a person or an animal grunting. But as I regain my composure, I believe it's a pump coming either in and out of the woods and flowing down into here. It scared the snot out of me. This was the shipping and receiving area. Look at the buildup of dirt on this. Oh yeah, I saw plenty of these back in my day working grocery retail, unloading trucks. Doesn't look like these UPS deliveries are going to be delivered. I turned that corner, it's all quiet, and I heard this. The chiller building. That sounds spooky. This was the model studio. You can see through the dirty window there, you can see some little advertisements. I've definitely seen some cats out here as well, and it's nice to know that someone is out here feeding them fresh water and food. So this was the security, obviously no longer on site because you could see us all chained out. I think that's most of it. At least how it looks modern day as I'm recording this. And as time goes on, a lot of these pieces will be removed and more history will be erased. Monumental retail history and that whole era of the home party sales. I mean, that was a thing back. That was a vibe back in the 80s. Avon, Mary Kay, Tupperware. There might have been others, but those are the ones I remember. Well, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video with progress taking over, new apartments, the old facility going by the wayside. That was their version of Mini Marge right there. Think about that. That was probably going all over the property back when the property was even more expansive than it is at the moment. Little golf cart there. Seen better days. I'll see you in the next video, the vlog. Goodbye, Tupperware. Is over. No idea what that noise is.